Cloud privacy, interception realities. A question making the rounds in local LLM circles is blunt. If a GPU is rented from a private cloud, can the operator watch everything the customer runs? The practical answers are less mysterious and more sobering. Thread participants note that a provider controls the host, so they can proxy the API, log prompts, outputs, run guard models, or instrument inference servers to capture inputs/outputs. Some even suggest memory inspection/debuggers to scrape RAM, though that's more brittle and workload specific. If the operator also controls the API surface, e.g., a managed endpoint, they can enforce pre-post filters and safety checks. If not, they can still observe at the container or network layers. The consensus, the marketing terms private, anonymous, confidential have limits if the provider owns the box. True privacy requires end-to-end user control, including encryption and attestation, or trusting the operator. There's no magic GPU privacy button. The tension shows up elsewhere. PipesHub pitches an open-source enterprise search that can be self-hosted, connecting sources like Google Drive, Gmail, Slack, Notion, SharePoint, and local files through an event streaming backend, Kafka, and any OpenAI-compatible model, including Llama and VLMs with OCR. It's a strong privacy by deployment story. Run it yourself, minimize data egress, choose your model. But a top comment cuts to the chase. Gmail Drive aren't private against Google to begin with. Even if you host the search platform locally, data governance still depends on upstream providers' access and policies. Meanwhile, Apple says U.S. passport-linked digital IDs are coming soon to Wallet, enabling TSA use at select checkpoints. It expands Wallet's identity role beyond payments and state IDs, already in 12 states plus Puerto Rico, and intersects with Real ID enforcement, but won't replace passports. Apple highlights a decade of Apple Pay scaling and non-payment wallet features. Car keys, transit, hotel keys, signaling a push to make Wallet a secure identity hub, with all the convenience and centralization risks that implies. In parallel, an editorial project titled Breaking Facial Recognition underscores the counter-surveillance zeitgeist. As digital ID and biometric systems proliferate, so do tools and critiques aimed at undermining or evading them. The directional takeaway is clear, even if tactics vary. Identity tech is advancing, but so are adversarial responses. Software supply chain under fire. Koi Security uncovered Phantom Raven, an NPM malware campaign hiding payloads in remote dynamic dependencies, RDD. Instead of listing registry packages, attackers put HTTP URLs in package JSON. NPM fetched and executed those at install via pre-install scripts, bypassing static SCA and even showing zero dependencies in NPM's UI. The malware harvested developer emails, CI/CD tokens, and system fingerprints, exfiltrating via HTTP and WebSocket, and used slop squatting. Names likely to be hallucinated by LLMs, packages a bot might suggest even if they didn't exist yesterday. Behavioral detection, watch install time network file actions, surfaced 126 malicious packages with 86,000 plus downloads. The technique allows per-install targeted payloads and delayed detonation, making it especially slippery. Hackaday's roundup paints a broader picture of dev environment fragility. Glassworm, a VS Code extension worm, hides injected code via Unicode tricks, uses Solana blockchain and public Google Calendar as C2, and turns compromised boxes into botnet nodes and rats, an escalation of metaworms targeting the tooling that builds software. GitHub is nudging NPM towards safer defaults, deprecating classic access tokens, tightening MFA, moving beyond TOTP, and encouraging CI-only publishes. Elsewhere, a parsing bug in a Rust tar crate shows memory safety isn't the only battle. And an AWS DNS misfire cascaded into notable outages, a reminder that centralized infrastructure creates large blast radii. Even elliptic curve crypto libraries need rigorous point validation to avoid key leaks. Circle fixed several invalid point paths earlier this year. On the mitigation side, GHDEP offers an interactive TUI for triaging and merging dependency update PRs across repos orgs, grouping by package at version, and automating approved merge with CI checks. It also flags upcoming Dependabot comment command deprecation, Jan 27, 2026, pushing teams toward API-driven workflows. Supply chain fixes often generate PR floods. Operator tooling like this can make response time and review discipline match the new threat tempo. Localpute proves itself with caveats. A Windows-based, fully local voice assistant, Alethea, running on an AMD RX 6700 via llama.cpp's Vulkan backend, underscores that affordable AMD consumer GPUs can be serviceable for real workloads. With Mistral 7B, Q6K, Whisper Small, DirectML for STT, and CPU TTS, the system handles persistent memory and real-time interactions, but pays a latency tax from non-streaming TTS. The author updated the framing from proof AMD excels to a viable path if you already own AMD, a measured claim aligned with observed trade-offs. Computer-using agents highlight the remaining rough edges. A Qwen 3VL desktop agent interpreting 1280x960 Linux screenshots can recognize layouts and components, yet struggles with precise clicking. Community suggestions included a second-stage refinement, crop around the proposed click for relocalization, or statistically correct systematic offsets, simple feedback loops that might materially improve reliability. Notably, many demos target Android, where larger targets and more uniform layouts mask fine motor limitations on desktop UIs. Feeding local agents efficiently matters as much as models. Hugging Face revamped streaming datasets to reduce startup requests by 100 times, speed file resolution by 10 times, and double sample throughput in some setups. A persistent data file cache across workers prevents request storms. Parquet prefetching and configurable buffering keep GPUs fed. And Z-based dedupe accelerates transfers. Teams reported streaming performance rivaling local SSDs on large clusters, eliminating hours-long pre-downloads and enabling immediate training on multi-TB datasets. Routing and repeatability for agents. Routing can save real compute when every token matters. GraphScout routes queries through only the local agents likely to help, using a small local model as a judge to preserve privacy and avoid API costs. Integrated into Orca Reasoning, self-hostable Apache 2.0, it works with Ollama, LM Studio, llama.cpp, and VLLM via OpenAI-compatible endpoints, a pragmatic path for adaptive, minimal-cost workflows on local stacks. ArchRouter 1.5b formalizes routing by aligning to human preferences across domain, e.g. legal healthcare, and action, e.g. code gen translation, then selecting the best model based on user-defined mappings. The 1.5b router claims SOTA performance for preference matching on conversational datasets, is small enough for low latency use, and powers a model's native proxy server for agents. Transparent, controllable routing beats opaque heuristics when production traffic spans disparate tasks and models. Caching behavior reduces spend and stabilizes outcomes. Butter sits in front of chat completion's endpoints, detects repeat patterns, and serves deterministic cached responses for tool-driven repeatable work, e.g. data entry, computer use, research. The pricing pitch is simple. Pay a cut of token savings, and the operational benefit is fewer surprises in agent behavior across identical tasks. Determinism isn't glamorous, but it's a cornerstone of reliable automation. On the research side, QAgent proposes an RL-trained, modular search agent for RAG that treats query understanding as a sequential decision process. Using group relative policy optimization, it runs a planned search information reflect loop, refining queries across rounds to improve retrieval quality for downstream generation. The authors argue for two-stage training, end-to-end first, then a generalization-oriented stage focused on retrieval quality, and position QAgent as a plug-and-play module for real systems. It's a concrete attempt to bridge LLM reasoning with practical, adaptive retrieval, with code available. Developers are turning agent platforms into repeatable infrastructure. Eggcluster.dev wraps the Claude Agent SDK, file system tools, Bash CLI, web fetch search, subagents, skills, and model context protocol MCP support into YAML-configured agents, each session isolated in its own Docker container. A Next.js dashboard plus Fast API backend provides a clean ops surface with SSE WebSockets for streaming. By defaulting to process isolation per session, it bakes operational hygiene in from the start. On the skills layer, builders report faster iteration by moving from web UIs to local editors. A cursor-based flow scaffolds a create skills project, auto-generates metadata, validators, and templates, and enables tight edit validate loops with version control. Advantages echoed by others using local IDEs. It's a reminder. Tighter inner loops produce better prompts, schemas, and guardrails. Governance is catching up conceptually and practically. An editorial on Know Your Agent, signals rising interest in standards for understanding an agent's capabilities, data access, and risk surface, akin to KYC for software. And in a high-stakes domain, an RxEve paper details agentic compliance for financial crime compliance, embedding regulatory rules into autonomous agents across onboarding, monitoring, investigation, and reporting, with explainability, traceability, and compliance by design. Developed with a fintech and regulators under an action design research approach, the system targets digitally native platforms, including blockchain games and DeFi, aligning agent behavior with institutional roles and escalation paths. Given FCC's ballooning costs and mixed effectiveness, this agents with accountability framing is a timely, testable alternative. AI code review, useful, not magical. A month-long trial across Copilot, Claude, and Verdant found AI code review to be ROI positive but humbler than the hype. Tools reliably catch lint-level issues, minor refactors, and some deeper concerns, but they miss whether code solves the actual requirement, often lack architectural context, and struggle to prioritize severity, flagging nitpicks and critical risks with the same confidence. For a 5-developer team, the net effect was 30 minutes day saved, about 10 hours month, with the biggest win as pre-submission coaching for juniors. The workflow shift, AI first pass, human focus on substance works, but the risk of approving technically correct, wrong feature remains squarely a human responsibility. Complementary operational tooling matters as much as models. Managing the ensuing flow of automated dependency PRs is where interactive tools like GHDEP help keep the pipeline clean without drowning reviewers, particularly as ecosystems adapt to supply chain threats and registries tighten authentication and publishing practices. Real-time generative media community projects. Kriya's Realtime 14B model converts a video diffusion model into an autoregressive one using self-forcing, reaching 11 FPS with 4 inference steps on a single NVIDIA B200, and enabling prompt changes mid-generation, restyles, and 1-second time to first frame. Techniques like KV cache, recomputation, and attention bias mitigate error accumulation. Memory optimizations make large autoregressive models trainable, and both text-to-video and video-to-video streaming workflows are supported via a web server or Diffuser's new modular pipelines. It's a step toward interactive video synthesis rather than batch-only rendering. Not every creative stack needs frontier infra. Community repos like an AI art generator continue to proliferate, reflecting how quickly accessible tooling spreads and is remixed, even if some projects are early or transient. The point stands. Everyday creators are pushing generative workflows forward regardless of cloud scale. Adoption, attitudes, and the evidence bar. A widely shared editorial dissects a new psychology paper claiming AI use is rare, 1% of desktop browsing, and correlated with dark triad traits. The critique flags major limitations. Only desktop Chrome histories, no apps mobile. GPT-4o used to categorize sites with a tiny validation sample, 200 URLs, and no power analysis, and only moderate correlation between self-report and observed use, 0.329. The bottom line isn't that the findings are wrong, but that they're early, underscoped, and require replication and stronger validation before turning into cultural conclusions about who uses AI and how often. The evidence bar should rise with the stakes, a good rule in AI research and AI discourse alike.